afternoon, good day, good evening, good whatever time of day it is. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Dr. Don. Now, for your first-time viewers, Conversations with Dr. Don is an ongoing series of one-hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people like most of you out there about who they are as unique, one-of-a-kind individuals and whatever it is we've decided to talk about. Tonight we're going to talk about keep on keeping on, and we'll know in a few minutes what we mean by that. Because my guest tonight is Doug Goodrum, longtime friend of mine, and he's been on the show some years ago, so we'll start as though you haven't been on before, because we've got new viewers who don't know who you are personally and the kind of mischief you've been up to until this moment.
Sounds good.
And the second part of the show, we'll talk about what you're up to now and anything else you want to talk about, and then I will follow along accordingly.
All right.
And I'm not as nervous as I thought I would be. And how are you right now?
I'm great, thanks. Appreciate you having me back on again. It's fun.
You betcha. You're going to come back on in the next 3 years or so?
I think so. We should do this thing in a periodic way. It'd be great.
You bet, because I've enjoyed you so much. I think back to many, many years ago when my fledgling stage acting career was going on. And what did we do? Anastasia?
We did St. Joan.
St. Joan.
St. Joan,
yeah.
yes.
And I was just so impressed with your presence and what you were about on stage. I was watching the entire time, trying to learn something. Didn't learn a thing, no.
I bet you did great, because I think at that point you were fairly new to your acting career.
Yes, yeah.
It was one of the first things you had done.
Yes, it
and
was.
I thought you were really well, because it was a tough period piece. We all had to challenge a bit with the role and the dialogue, but I think you did really good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a great start here. Went on to the Tiger's Heart Shakespeare Company and did 3 productions with them.
Right.
And did Morgan Freeman's role in Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, how fun that was probably for you.
And he was almost as good as I was. You know?
Well, the locals probably appreciated it more. You were there, not him.
And as time went by, my wife was protesting because I was away from home so often, much with rehearsals and the whole thing. So I decided to go to my TV show, which I've been doing now for years and years, you know, Conversations with Dr. Don, and gave up stage, and I miss it, you know. I still go to local theaters and Artist Rep and others. And I still long to be on stage again. But we're not talking about me tonight, we're talking about you, Doug.
Well, we'll do a play again sometime, though. I love your energy. I've always liked your approach to life, and I think it carries over to the stage. So let's do a show again.
We'll talk about that when this is over. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Betcha.
So let's start with my cheat sheet.
Okay.
You know, I always have a trick question.
I'm ready. Hit me.
Right
Hit me with
now,
your
or
best
shall I
shot.
surprise you?
Anytime it fits for you, Don. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I were to ask your niece over here, who's in the studio audience,
Yes.
who is Doug Goodrum, what would she say?
Ooh, boy.
She'd say, my Uncle Doug is, what would she say?
I would hope she'd say energetic. I would hope she'd say a driven person. Yeah. You know, it's interesting you asked that, because she's visiting me from New York right now. She's going home this evening, in fact. So she's only here for a few minutes before she has to go catch her flight. And we haven't lived in the same town together for quite a long time.
But for what she knows about you, she would say...
I would hope so. I would just say that I'm driven
person, and what else?
And I'm high energy. And is that about right, Jessica? Okay. Good.
No, you're not supposed to question
her.
Okay. Cheater. He's a cheater, man, isn't he?
Among everything else.
I love it. Yeah. And what's your full name?
Douglas Michael Goodrum.
That hard name last name is hard to pronounce.
In a little bit, yeah.
How'd you get a 3-part name like that?
I have to ask my parents, I suppose. Douglas, my older brother got the middle name of Arthur, which is my father's middle name, which was his father's first name. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure where my name came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I like it, yeah. It's that long version's a little bit too long, probably. A lot of people know me as Doug.
I do too.
Yeah, so Doug's good, sure.
And when and where were you born?
Miami, Florida.
Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. We grew up in Florida. Lived there till I was about 18. And yeah, lovely place to grow up, you know, back in those days, 1956. I have a birthday coming up next week. Yeah.
Oh, you're getting up there.
I am getting up there, yeah. But you know what's funny about it, I'm sure you'll agree, and anyone else will, at a certain turning point of age, it's like, whatever, you know. When you're in your 20s or 30s, 40 seems so far away, but then you're 40, and then you're 50, and I'm turning the corner towards 60, and I still feel as good as I did at 30, so who cares, yeah.
Your look is good, too.
Thanks. I feel like I look good.
How about your formal education? Is that something the audience would be curious about?
Probably a little bit as we get into what I'm doing now with my world. Went to school in Miami. Fell into the drug culture. I know, shocking. Especially for some people that might be seeing this later. But I'm proud of it because it took me to where I am now.
Yeah.
Long hair, Florida.
I can picture you with long hair in Florida.
We always used to joke that at that time in Florida, you know, we got all the good drugs. We passed on the stuff that we didn't want to the rest of the country. Yeah.
Was your hair getting white then?
It was blonde.
Blonde.
Yeah.
Oh, I can
In fact, you'll remember the Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
I was compared to one of the Allman Brothers. No, I had long, straight hair down to my waist. From the time I was about probably 14 or so till I was 19. Yeah.
Part of the counterculture.
Counterculture.
Yeah.
And back to the education question, along with that, dropped me out of high school. So I dropped out of high school in 10th grade. Yeah, never finished high school. Went back and got my GED.
Interesting. I did too.
Oh, there you go. Didn't know that.
I dropped out in 9th grade.
Okay.
And went back many, many years later and kept going back at night forever and ever.
To get that final degree or two, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I ended up with my doctorate in clinical psychology.
Wow.
But that was many years and many hard nights so later, but that's something else. So GED, congratulations.
Yeah, how about that?
You can't hold it. Good man down.
Not that we would encourage anyone to do that route. It's definitely a more difficult route.
But if you've dropped out, go back. Keep going.
Yeah.
And you know I'm still a student?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Portland Community Media, Portland Community College, Senior Studies Institute.
Wow.
And current events discussion group, and occasionally the other classes they have on. And a bunch of old turkeys like me get together and attend classes regularly. And
neat.
No credits, but it's still fun.
But it's good. It's good conversation.
Education is just wonderful. I'll be 110 and still going to school.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Next question is about partner. It says wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Do you have one of those?
I have a very beautiful fiancée named Anya.
Anya?
We've been together 4 years. We just celebrated our 4th year since we met in May. That's our anniversary month.
She's in the studio.
She's in the studio. Yeah, she's right over there.
I've got a little information about this guy later on. No, not really. He's a wonderful guy.
You won't spook her with anything. She knows me pretty well by now.
Of course.
Yeah.
Any memberships in organizations that are worth mentioning? Screen Actors Guild and all that stuff.
Used to be Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be AFTRA and Screen Actors Guild during my time in Los Angeles. Yeah.
And you were on television for a while?
I was on television for a while, yeah. I went to LA for 6 years as an actor. Yeah. And that was a fun time. I was in my late 20s through mid-30s.
I bet that was, huh?
It was fun, yeah. And typical Hollywood, they cast me young. So I was cast in the 20 to 25-year-old range. Yeah. So that was a good time.
Did you miss it?
At this point of life, you always look back, and I would think anybody would. I can only speak to myself. You always look back and go, what if I would have stayed at it? You know, what if I would have not left LA and stayed in LA? You know, where would I be now? Because I'd be in that career path for 25 years now. You know, and who knows? But obviously, there was a reason why I left when I did, and like you. I love to do theater still. I love to perform. I try to do a play a year. That was always my goal when I left LA, was to do a stage play a year. And since I left LA and came back to Oregon was 1990, I have done 3 little independent film roles. I've done She's 8 or 9 plays, I guess. Yeah.
What about your work life from the time you left theater and acting in LA? What kind of work life did you have?
Came back to Portland. I say back to because that goes back to my education. I went to Portland State University. And so that was my first time to Oregon was in 1977 when I was 21 years old. And so I came to Oregon for 5 years, went to Portland State, moved away, came back. And when I came back, I picked back up with my business background and my business degree. So that's what I graduated from.
Business,
Yeah, I started in theater arts. And about halfway through my time at Portland State, I transitioned to business. Got a degree in marketing, used it straight out of college with Xerox for 3 years, and then went into the acting.
Degree in marketing.
Yes.
What is marketing?
Oh boy.
In a few words.
More salesmanship than marketing, probably. Yeah. Yeah, I'm more of a sales side than I am the marketing side.
You're going to give me a pitch on something you're
sell you anything. I can sell icebergs to Eskimos.
Yeah. And all of your working career, you've been involved in those kinds of business ventures?
Pretty much in sales in some form,
Sales,
yeah.
And what are you doing now for a living?
I am in transition, yeah, which means I'm unemployed.
And how long have you been in transition?
About 1.5 years now, since I intentionally left the home loan industry.
Home loans?
Home loans.
Whoa.
Yes. I like to laugh about the fact that I couldn't take the pain anymore. You know, you can only take so much abuse, and it's time to leave. I never liked it that much, and I did it for 6 years, and I never liked it that much. It was too finance-oriented for me, you know, not enough salesmanship. I always thought I was told it'd be that way, to be, you know, oh, you're a great salesman, you'll be great at this. And nobody told me the part about you have to do the loan. You can't just go out and get the loan, which is the salesmanship part. You have to actually do the loan. You have to crunch the numbers and be in front of the computer screen for, you know, a long time. So that part of it I wasn't crazy about. Yeah.
So you're transitioning.
Yes. So I purposely walked away about 1.5 years ago and said, you know, life's too short. You got to do something you enjoy doing, that you feel your talents are best at. And so I decided just to leave it, because I felt if I didn't leave it at this stage of life, it'd be so easy just to keep doing it. And then 5 more years rolls by and you're kind of going, well, I'm still doing something I don't like doing, you know. And so that's why I decided to leave. And I didn't realize, to my own innocence, because I hadn't really looked for a job in a long time. I went from, before loans, I was in my own companies. I had my own firms for like 2 times in a row. So I was able to bounce out of that and straight into loans because somebody knew me and said, hey, come and, you know, do this, you'll be great at it. And then I went through several employers during this 6 years because of the turmoil in the industry.
Yes.
It seemed like every time I kind of get my team going, my you know, work in forward movement, the company would fold. And so it's like,
you're pretty powerful.
They literally closed the companies. Yeah. So I would have to go find a new company, but thankfully I always got a referral to the next company, next company, next company. So I say all that because this challenge now is really the first time I was out looking for a job in a long time.
Boy.
And it's a tough marketplace, very tough marketplace.
I remember in the mid-'70s, I was out of work for 2.5 years, and that was painful. But so you're managing and still feeding yourself, I can see.
Yeah, I'm doing all right, doing all right. I have great support through Anya, my fiance, so that's important.
So where are you going to be, say a year, 3 years, 5 years from now?
I will be in I'll be in a new line of work in sales, some business-to-business product or service, something that I enjoy talking about every day, that I get passionate about, that I can be enthusiastic about. You know, some combination of face-to-face time and not face-to-face. Those are kind of the things I'm after. Yeah, I don't have any aspirations, at least at the moment, to own my own company again. I've already done that. I know what that feels like. You know, if I could be, you know, in a position where I'm a top dog or something and I'm doing my own work every day, that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay. And you have a project going on now in your transitioning period that you mentioned before. Can you say a few words about that?
I'd love to, thanks. What happened, Don, is I started my own search. Probably, I literally left the loan business in February, March of 2011. So that's why I say it's been about a year and a half, but not quite a year and a half. I kind of took a few months to get my act together. In other words, resume organized, cover letters, all those type of things you have to go out there and look for a job. I didn't know, learned all about the job, and then started attending a job support group. In particular, one that was sponsored by Portland Community College, and it's called the High Tech Job Support Group, and it's designed for ex-employees from the technical industries. So your Intel people, your other high-tech people, and started to attend every week just as a attendee like everybody else. Started to network with a few of those people, and got to start. Because of my marketing and selling and natural personality, and these type of people did not necessarily have that. I think they gravitated toward me to be the energy in the room a bit, to be the gung ho guy a little bit.
Sure.
And so they start looking at me a little bit like a recruiter in a way, or like a coach in a way. Hey, Doug, what do you think about my resume? What do you think about how I interview? And so I started to become an answer person in those ways. I started to become the example in the room for networking, getting yourself out there, networking. So that's how it kind of started, just being a part of that group, and then I started attending a couple of other groups like that. So I was going to probably about 3 a week, job support groups, job seeker support groups as they're called. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, maybe I can, contribute something. Maybe I can bring something to the table that these other groups don't. In particular, the areas of networking, the areas of selling yourself. That you're probably the most fantastic engineer, the most fantastic, high-tech programmer, but now you're looking for a job and you need to sell yourself.
Yes.
Okay. And for me, after all these years, it comes kind of natural to walk into a room and meet people, shake hands, make relationships happen. But for those people, it's a little uncomfortable, a little awkward. So I thought, well, that would be kind of my main focus, will be to host my own support group. And I wanted it to be something not just for job seekers. So I call it Career Resource Network.
Career Resource Network. Interesting. Career Resource Network.
Yeah. The idea was it would pull in those 3 important things, your career, and have some resources, and you're going to network. Because, we've got all kinds of statistics out there. They say to this day, 80%, 70%, 80%, it bounces around a little bit, at least 70% of people who get their next employment, it's through some form of networking.
Yes.
Would you kind of agree to that? Okay.
Yeah.
It may not be you go to a networking event and you meet somebody and they hire you the next day, but it's because you got out, somebody knew you, referred you, and that referral, because we all like to be with friends.
Yes.
Even if it's an extension of a friend, just the fact that we know somebody, or somebody knew somebody. Okay. So that's kind of the idea. So I've been leading this group. We meet every other Wednesday. I thankfully get a free room at the Baham Fresh over by Washington Square.
That's in Portland.
In Portland, thank you. So we meet every other Wednesday. People start dribbling in around 10:30 in the morning. They go through the food line at the Baham Fresh, Mexican. They get their own plate of food. Then I start the program at 11, and I present about a half hour of things, I call it. And it's because I put together a little slideshow sometimes. Sometimes I just do some overheads. But I kind of break it into 3 groups of information for that first half hour. The first area will be what I call intro. And it could be anything. I showed a clipping I blew up. I put it on the overhead projector screen of the employee from TriMet Bus who got the award because he's gotten 30 of these best job awards and TriMet had to create a whole new category of award because this driver blew out all the other awards. So they had to give him another award, so they had to make a new award up because he'd already exceeded all the awards they had, you know. And I thought, how cool that is, you know, a 35-year veteran, you know, and his name was Willie, if I recall, and it's just like, go Willie, you know, be the best of what you can be for anything you do, you know. And so I put that up there. I just did that a couple weeks ago. Then I go into, so that's the first piece, the intro piece, just kind of a warm-up. Then I go into current events, and I'll prepare a separate PDF or Word document on various upcoming events in town for people to go network at. So any given, you know, week, there's, of the ones I know, and I'm sure there's a lot more I don't even know about, but I probably know of at least 5 events a week.
Wow.
That are groups of some kind, organizations of some kind, go there and network.
So
sometimes
there's that much unemployment in the high-tech industry.
Right, right. Well, these are groups that are both unemployed, you know, job seeker or career people.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they could be a professional organization that meets once a month, and they happen to meet that week. But I just put them up there and say, look, if you believe in your heart like you should, that 70 to 80% of the people who get a job are sued, then you need to get out there. People don't know you if you're not out there. Okay, so I put those up. And then I do a third little segment in that first half hour of training, and that's where I'll grab some information on perhaps resumes or interviewing or post-interviewing, just, you know, tidbits of things I pick up in my own travels as a job seeker and say, well, that was a good article. I think I'll share that with the group. So I do that, and then we invite a guest speaker, somebody from the professional arena. Usually it's a employment coach, maybe it's a recruiter perhaps. Could be just a motivational individual. And so they'll come on then from like 11:45 to 12:30. So they'll have their set time to present. Then from 12:30 to 1, we do our networking. We introduce ourselves. We give our elevator pitch, as it's called. And then we're done. So that's every other Wednesday from 11 until 1.
How long has this been going on?
Boy, I've been at it about 11 months now.
11 months?
11 months. Yeah.
You don't have much time added to have any statistics about the success of your program. You had any feedback so far for people who've gotten good positions and they give part of the credit at least to what they learned from you? You
know, it's fun that you asked that. I don't have statistics yet, but what I do have is an ongoing roster. I keep 2 rosters. I've got a master one of people I meet either through other avenues or through that group who want to be part of my, you know, job seeker friend group. Okay, and on that roster, I've got over 400 people now.
400?
400 who are just people, just job seekers who I've met since my own search started in March of last year. So just that time, I've got over 400 people who I've met and got their email, their phone, and their name.
I thought you were simply assertive. It sounds like you're aggressive. that sounds great. 400 in that short period of time.
I believe in networking. So for me, that means these are people who I meet them as a job seeker, but they have their own career backgrounds. Very few are in my same profession, and that's what makes it fun and exciting, is that I've now connected with so many different walks of life. The engineer, the programmer, the project manager, the architect, the lawyer, you know, not too many lawyers, unemployed, but, and salespeople like myself, you know, marketing people. So that's that group. But then the other roster is the people who attend my event, the Career Resource Network. So they go on that roster. So that roster's had about 230 or 240, I guess we're up to, attendees so far. Each week we get 25 to 35 in the room. So I imagine some people come once and it's not their cup of tea.
Sure.
Maybe I've got too big of a mouth, I'm too aggressive, I don't want to go back, I don't like that guy, I don't care, whatever. Don't come, it's free, you show up, you don't show up, it's up to you. You know, we're big people. But I've had others that I glanced at the thing the other day, that I've got some that, they've attended, you know, 20, 23 times kind of thing, you know.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, so I've got some people that have pretty much come every time since the beginning.
So are you considering perhaps continuing with this and have it be a paying venture.
That'd be nice.
You're still available in the regular market.
Yes, yes. My personal hope at the moment is to go into the recruiting or staffing industry, preferably as a business development person versus a recruiter. So there's kind of two sides of that house usually. The smaller places, everybody will do both jobs. You're responsible to find candidates as well as find clients. Clients being the ones who, you know, have job orders for you. Okay. But I prefer, if possible, to just do the job order side. Nothing against the candidate side. I just think my strength is, you know, selling the client on giving us a job order. You know, so I'd like to be doing that. So I'm hoping if I can land that type of role, then I can keep doing the Career Resource Network as my way to continue to contribute. You know, it's only every 2 weeks.
Sure.
You know, I spend pretty much a whole day at it because I'll start to prepare for it the morning of, do the event, and then there's the post work. Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's my hope, is to keep doing it.
Pretty busy guy, huh?
Yeah, and I kind of, when I first started it, I had some pretty good plans to say, well, no reason we can't have a Career Resource Network chapter. Start out with one in Portland, one in Gresham, or one in Beaverton, one in Portland. Then we got one in Seattle, you know, because I've got the mechanism is kind of built now.
I knew there was something else going on.
Yeah, the mechanism's kind of built now. I've got all the templates in place. I've got all the roster management in place. I've got the promotional stuff in place. So somebody else could just take the ball and run with it in their own marketplace. It's just, you know, because it's you don't want to charge people probably to attend. I've thought about that. I've thought about, well, and people say that to me all the time, Don. They'll say, Doug, you ought to be charging for this, because they appreciate the quality of the stuff I'm bringing. You know, I'm bringing professional level information, material, etc. And you know, you ought to be charging, for this. I'm thinking, well, okay. I thought about it recently. I said, well, if I charge what, $10 a head, and I got 25 people in the room, $200 every 2 weeks, it'd be nice. But what would that really do to affect my world that much? Not that much, in relation to they know they can come for free, you know, and they're unemployed, so every dollar matters.
Of course, of course.
So I'm like, you know, unless there was some way to transition. So I don't know. I'm still kind of tossing that around a bit. And I've had a couple of, you know, vice presidents from big companies that have been laid off that have come to me with ideas to monetize and go nationwide and everything else. So I've got some of that kind of sitting on the side, ready to launch if we ever get to it.
So we'll be putting up your email address and your website, and that's where people should go to learn more about what you're talking about.
Yes, anybody at all, whether they're a job seeker or they're just they're currently employed and they like the idea of coming every 2 weeks to network with other people, that'd be great. And they can just send me an email, and I'll put them on the little roster, and I'll send them the invite.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, looks like it's time to take a break and gather our wits for the second half of the show. Can we take a break here for a few minutes? Mr. Control Room, please. So the mic's going to be off for a couple of minutes. Okay, we are back. Thanks for staying tuned. And for those of you who stumbled across the show a minute ago, the Conversations with Dr. Don show that you're watching is an ongoing series of one-hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people, like most of you out there, about who they are as unique, one-of-a-kind individuals, and about whatever it is we've decided to talk about tonight. And I'm talking to Doug Goodrum, old friend of mine. He's done the show before many years ago, but I had to have him on again to see what he's about, what he's been up to, and what he's going to be up to. And we've had an enjoyable visit the first half hour, and now we'll learn a little more about what you've been up to over the last year or so, and then we'll just wing it from there and talk about human interest stuff.
Sounds good.
But we won't talk about sex, religion, or politics, because those are things that we get in the fight over.
We agree not to talk about it.
All right, tell us a little more about what you're doing.
Sure.
With this individual effort you're doing now.
Yeah, a moment ago we talked about the Career Resource Network. It's every 2 weeks we meet. It's open to anybody who wants to attend. It could either be job seekers, as we're called. I like to call them career seekers, and I kind of make that distinction. You know, job seekers go work at the local department store. Career seekers are serious about their next career move. And a lot of the people that I meet, like myself, left their career to go to a new career, wanted to make a big change.
Well, they weren't looking for a job, they were looking for a career.
A career change. So I call them career seekers.
Did you create that thought yourself?
Absolutely.
Son of a gun.
I know.
It's good thinking.
Thank you. Thank you. So I wanted just to wrap up the 2-week event. Our next meeting, I don't know what the timing will be of this broadcast, but will be June 13th. So if you miss that one, you can come 2 weeks after that, just every 2 weeks.
But this show will be on the internet in another day or so.
Oh, good. Good.
If they go to my website,
okay,
then they'll get this information.
Yeah, so our next meeting is June 13th. We're having a speaker, Tom Cox. He's a professional consultant here in town. He has about 6 topics he does, but
in town meaning Portland.
Portland, thank you. Is performance management, 5 steps to peak performance. And so I point that out because you'll notice it doesn't say anything about if you're a job seeker or resume hunter. So in other words, we encourage the current employed to come down for 2 hours at lunchtime, or come for an hour if you can. You don't have to be there for the whole time. Come for just a speaker. We don't care. Okay. So we want to try to encourage, people that are currently employed to come as well, because it's good to have the room mixed that way. So usually now, if I've got 25 attendees, I'll have 7 to 8 current employed.
And if their boss sees them at your gathering, you're going to be in trouble. And so, no.
That's why it's the Career Resource Network. It's not the
network.
I'm a job seeker meeting. Because, boss, I'm improving my career. You want me to improve my career, right? So that's our event. Yeah. You want me to talk about the other?
Sure.
While we're okay.
While we're on the roll.
Sure. And then this is an upcoming job fair. Next Thursday, June 14th.
Here in Portland.
Here in Portland, thank you. It's called the Technology and Bioscience Career Fair. So it is geared toward the technology industries, your programmers, your engineers, people like that. But I understand there's going to be 12 to 15 recruiters or companies there. So it's a job fair. So you can go from table to table. And then there's going to be 3 guest speakers giving ongoing seminars. So I've been asked to be a guest speaker. And so my topic is one I've done before. It's about networking. This is the flyer when I did it the last time where I was a speaker at our group. But it's a networking seminar that I've got prepared on PowerPoint. I have a handout. And I cover about 45 minutes of, why we should go network, what we hope to get when we go, what we should do afterward. Some real ideas and tidbits. Yeah. So I'll be the speaker. So I'll be doing that presentation twice that day. I think I'm going to be doing it at 2:30 and again at 3:30 on the 14th. Yeah.
Okay, then you should go to my website, and at the end of this program, how to get to my website and see this show, because this TV show will be available to be watched on my website. And if they want to tell their friends to watch what you're talking about, and learn what you're talking about, and attend your career
Resource Network.
Resource Network.
Yep.
They can do
That'd
that.
be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if nothing else, you know, I have people who say, well, Doug, it's a tough day for me to come on Wednesdays. I have obligations at noontime on Wednesday. Okay. You know, if you want to just join Doug's roster of fellow job seekers, which has the 400 or so I talked about in the first half hour, where these are just people I've met that gave me their email, their phone, their name, that's all. I don't care about your address. You know, I put you in this Excel roster is all it is, but what I do is each week to that email roster, I send out a email of greeting with 3 to 5 attachments on events that I know about you might want to attend. Maybe I'll send out a document about resume writing. Maybe I'll, you know, the kind of stuff I show at the meeting, I'll send out an email. So I have a lot of people that are on that roster that I don't see at the meetings at the moment, but they still get my email. Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of do a little newsletter of sorts, you might say. Yeah.
Okay. Now we've gotten to the core of what you're about nowadays in your career. Let's go back a little bit and get a little more personal about you and what you're about.
Sure.
I have one of my favorite questions that I like to ask is, are there any persons from the past or alive today that you particularly look up to or looked up to or admire? Any names come to mind?
Absolutely.
Name me a couple, if you will.
Dr. Jim Manning.
Dr. Jim Manning.
Dr. Jim Manning was the marketing, he was the head of the marketing department at Portland State University, where I went to college. Mm-hmm. He was my personal faculty advisor, and he was probably the first major influence that I admired, I wanted to imitate, because he was the energetic, friendly, personable, professional business person who could easily, at that point I was in my 20s, so I was young and dumb, and never asked him probably, so what did you do before you were a professor? I'm sure he was a corporate guy somewhere, because he was that kind of a guy, right?
Sure.
Okay, and so I'm sure he has a whole background of business experience, but I found it that he wanted to be a teacher, so he took on the academic world, but he still did some consulting and things on the side. But I would say I look up to him, and I remember him to this day. He's passed away now, because major moment for me to go from high school dropout in Miami, Florida, drive all the way out west on my own, didn't know anybody out here, just knew that I wanted to go to college somewhere in September. So I literally left Miami in May in a van, zigzagging the countryside, up to Colorado, down to Texas, over to Nevada, down to Arizona, into California, up to Oregon.
By yourself?
By myself. With the only thing in mind that somewhere by September, school year, I'll start college. Because I'm a high school dropout. I have no point of reference. I don't apply to colleges. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
You know, yeah.
Yes,
it's just,
I do.
Go to college somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So I land at PCC, Sylvania campus, first year, to avoid out-of-state tuition, because I just moved to Oregon, and then I transferred to Portland State. But at that point of transferring to Portland State, and that's when I think I met Dr. Manning around that time. Maybe it might have been the year after that, maybe my sophomore year, and my junior and senior. Became my faculty advisor, and so he, through constant encouragement, through lead by example. Okay, this is how I need to build my professional life now that I'm in this big arena of college, you know, having not had the advanced years of high school. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Don't know how to study yet very well.
Yes, I do.
Don't know how to take tests yet very well. It's like, hello. People who do the traditional route don't realize that.
But you had
that if you don't go to 11th grade and 12th grade of high school and you jump into college, it's a little rough.
Yeah, totally awkward.
Yeah, you know.
But then
all
you
these
got
things you don't know.
something deep inside that says, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
I say to people when I talk about my education, I says, I took my education.
There you go.
Nobody gave me a darn thing.
Bingo, good for you.
I said, I'm going to do it, and I'll learn what needs to be done, and I'll do it. And even if I look ignorant along the way, I'll learn.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, very good.
So we have
So you play, there you go. There you go. I never knew that about you. What a fun night this is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be one person for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, anybody else come to mind that?
Oh boy, there's been so many influences, and our lives have been so full. You know, I've literally changed careers like 5 or 6 times now, and been kind of sales oriented, but totally different product, different professional directions. You know, I mean, I literally, we already talked a little bit about my acting experience before, and God, I would just have to say, anybody who's come into my world who has challenged themselves, who keep a good face going. I mean, I guess that's the one thing I'll comment about. You know, people say to me all the time, Doug, how do you stay upbeat so much? God, you're so energy all the time.
Yeah.
You know, boy, you're so energy all the time. I used to say, you know, in my group, I meet the career resource, like, God, Doug, you're always up all the time. I go, hey, I'm like you. I get up in the morning at 55, almost 56, and I'm tired. I don't sleep as well anymore. I've got some strange body things going on now I didn't have a couple years ago. It's like, oh, well, okay, that in too. You know, but you just do it. You just do it, you know, and I've got lots of challenges in my world right now. I'm definitely not, you know, I'm living on a shoestring like anybody else who's looking for a job and all those important things. And so, but you just do it. You keep on keeping on, don't you?
I got a funny question.
Sure, go for it.
You mentioned your van coming up from Florida up to Oregon. Was it a Volkswagen van?
No, but it was a hippie van. It was a hippie van. But even way back then, I guess I've been a realist my majority of my life, and I'm a common sense guy. I've got great street smarts. So I knew that at 20 years old, you don't drive across the country in 1976 or 7 with long hair down your butt. You cut your hair first. So I cut my hair. And you don't drive a hippie van that people see it. So my van was a Chevrolet panel van that looked plain on the outside except for the nice wheels and tires. But then when you open those doors, there was fur on the ceiling, there was a mirror, there was a bed and a dresser and a refrigerator.
You were
I was rocking inside. If this van's rocking, don't bother knocking, you know. That was a funny question.
Yeah. You got any stories for my viewers about pets? Are you a pet person?
Definitely. I'm a cat person.
Cat person?
Yes.
A macho man doesn't have cats. What are you talking about?
I'm not a macho man. I'm a lover, not a fighter. No, I've always liked cats.
Yeah. Do you have a cat now?
Oh, absolutely. Simon the cat. Got him at 2 years old. Got him from the pound. And he was a stinker. 2 years old, somebody abused him, I think.
Okay.
And so within the first couple of months, I had to take his claws out. And I've never done that to a cat before because he would destroy me. He'd be on my lap, and I'd pet him, and then he'd jump out of my lap like somebody just lit him on fire. So I think he had this streak in him or something. So I had to, because he would just scratch the heck out of me. So I took his claws out. So he's been indoor ever since.
Has he calmed down some since then? Somewhat,
but I've had him now for 9 years.
9 years.
9 years. So he's 11 years old. And he's got his teeth still. So once in a while, I'll be petting him. And he'll just spin that mouth around and just going to take a gnaw out of me.
It's just you. It is
Is that what it is? Okay, yeah. Talking about biting the hand that feeds you, right?
You have any personal memories of encounters with him that are worth repeating? Because I've got a story about my cat.
I'd love to hear it. Yeah. No, not too much. He's pretty, other than that little silly part of him, he's pretty mellow. Lays around all day. He's never left the house. I've always had indoor, outdoor cats. I've had a cat my whole life. My last cat lived to be 14. She passed away. So to have a cat that's always inside is kind of unusual. I'm used to them going out for a while. Maybe they go away for a day, then they come back kind of thing. So let me hear about your cat.
I had a dog when I was a young kid, early teens, and didn't have a pet for many years after that. And then about 20 years ago, a friend of mine was moving to Hawaii or something, and she had a cat, and she convinced me that I should take her cat because she couldn't take it to Hawaii. And I said, what do you mean? I'm not a cat person. I'm a dog person, if any.
Right.
So finally, Phaedra, Tabby, Phaedra. And Phaedra and I got along pretty good, and she adapted to be pretty good. But the point I'm getting to is Kathmandu, Phaedra's friend. There was a cat that used to hang around my back door when I came home from work. And he'd see me, and then he'd take off. It took about 2 months to get him to come close enough where I could touch him with my finger. And he was jet black. I called him my Burmese prince because he was mostly Burmese. And we got to be perfect friends. Now, this cat could sense, Kathmandu could sense what was going on in my feelings like that.
Oh, wow.
I had something going on, and he was on my chest, and we were on the sun porch, and the sun was beaming in. And suddenly the emotion got to me. Somebody was sick in the family, and I started to cry. And he tried to get into my breast.
Oh, wow.
He was looking up at me, and he could feel what I was feeling. Oh, man. And that's a story I'll never forget. Kathmandu. Yeah. And one time I came in the back door, and he was inside. He had a cat door this time. And when I got into the back, the service porch, there was all these feathers all over the place. And I said, oh my God, you killed a bird. I screamed at him, you know, because I don't want to kill any animals, right?
Right.
And then I realized he's a cat.
Sure.
So I apologized to him, and I think he accepted it. But here's
you think he accepted it?
here's the punchline.
Did he bring you some candy or something?
He was an absolutely unique cat. No one can believe this. He had chronic gingivitis.
Oh, wow.
And he had to have his medication every morning. He had 2 medications, little pills. And he got, when I first got him to take these pills, I had him in 6 towels, and somebody else was helping me and prying his mouth open. Cut to the chase, to the finish. I got so I'd say, Kathmandu, it's time for your medicine. And I'd pat the drain board, he'd climb on the drain board and sit. And I'd put my hand right behind his neck, and he'd open his mouth and accept his medication.
How wonderful.
People don't believe that.
That's a great story.
That's my cat story.
That's a great story.
Kathmandu.
He loved you and you loved him, and he knew that that was how you stay together longer. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I had to get rid of him because my allergist said I was going crazy with allergies because I'm allergic to cats. So I put an ad in the paper, and I found a home for him. And in the Hollywood Hills, this is in LA, of course. And in the ad, I said everything about him. You got to be sure to give him his medication. Now, who wants to adopt a cat that has a chronic gingivitis and other things? So this little house where I took him, it was a place that Burt Reynolds had lived in the Hollywood Hills, right? And there's a picture of Burt Reynolds living. So they opened the door, and Kathmandu jumped out of my arms and went around the furniture and climbed up on the mantle and posed in profile.
Oh, geez. Just
and that was it. They loved him, right?
Just look at me. So, how do you like me now?
That's my Kathmandu story. Yeah.
Pets are wonderful, I think. And yeah, I have a little bit of an allergy thing. You hear my voice, and you know, with Simon, my cat, my current cat, if I pet him and touch my eye, it gets affected.
Really?
You know, sure. And you know, if I travel, I'm away from him for a week, I definitely notice that my sinuses clear up a bit and my voice is not quite as froggy. It's always froggy, but yeah, so.
But you're under control.
He's my guy. He's my guy, so I would never think to get rid of him, yeah.
What about your lady? Does she go along with...
She does, and she babysits once in a while a little dog, a little dachshund dog.
You got a dog too?
No, we don't have a dog. It's her dog, but she shares it with her ex, and so we have him every now and then just to kind of sit with him a little bit. But he's a nice little dog, little dachshund dog, short hair, of course, and you know, I'm not a dog person only because I don't like the bounce around in your face, jump all over your dogs. I don't like the lick my face dog. I don't like, you know, so, which most people want that. They go, oh, I love that. That's what I like about dogs.
Of course, that's what's neat about dogs. They lick the gravy off your chin, for God's sakes.
I don't like that. So I don't want that. You know? So I've never been a dog person. Yeah.
All right. So what else shall we talk about? We've got about 5 or 6 more minutes.
Okay.
Tell me another story from your exciting childhood or years past, or whatever it was.
I just think what I try to do in my life, and I'll do it hopefully to the day I pass away, is keep that positive feeling, be upbeat, roll with the punches, you know. It's easy for me to say that, I think, because of my background being so upheavaled and unknown as I went from challenge to challenge. I mean, I've got any number of stories of, you know, as an actor, you were in Hollywood yourself. I mean, I've stood in cattle calls of 1,200 people. I've showed up at a cattle call at 7 a.m., you know, and didn't get seen till 10 p.m. And I had to stay there the entire day, and that was free.
That was quite
free, just to get in front of the casting directors for 15 seconds to read 2 lines out of a script page.
That was determination for sure.
Yes, and I can't count the number of times that I've been rejected in everything in life. You know, acting obviously, but employment now, you know, back to my current job seeking, because that's kind of my current mode, is to help other job seekers, keep them positive, I hope, contribute to them wanting to just get up Monday morning again. You know, I've got a hard drive stacked full of declines from applications I've made.
Sure.
I just lost a very, very, very close, I almost was employed a week ago. So it just happened. And that was after about a month and a half process. And I mean, it was right down to the very end.
And you're still going at it.
And it stopped, yeah. So all you can do is get up the next day and go again.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. I love that you made that the title of our talk together, because that's what I hope. And I'm blessed, and I feel appreciative for the wonderful people I've met in the past year of my own search that I met a year ago, and a year later they're still looking, but I see an extra bounce in their step, I see an extra smile on their face, I see them attending these networking events. Easy for me to go to, probably easy for you to go to, lots of other people, no big deal. But for the majority of people, it's a chore, and it's a freak out moment to walk into the room and meet these new people and ask them some questions. But I guess what I try to stress in that case, and maybe people come to my seminar next Thursday the 14th, even if you don't want to go to the career fair, just come to my seminar. It's free.
Sure.
You know, just show up for that if you want. Because I talk about things like how to beat down your shyness, how to get prepared so you feel like you're prepared, you know, that you hit the room and you're ready to go. And so, and the last thing on that point is, most people need to know everybody else in the room is like them. There's very few people in the room like me,
sure,
or like you. So I guess that's, yeah.
Okay, we've got the high sign. We're going to have to stop, but I want you to give a final word or a message or something to the viewers that would be useful for them about anything that comes to mind for you.
Okay. I think
Camera 3.
over here. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tough time for everybody, including the employed people, because they're walking around with the knowledge that their neighbor, their friend, their family member got laid off. The company closed. Every day in the paper we read about stuff. So we just have to be in it for each other, and we just have to know that, like the stock market, it's in cycles, and we're going to come out of the cycle just like we have in the past. So keep the faith.
Thank you again.
Thanks a lot, Don. It was a wonderful time. I appreciate it very much.
You betcha. So let me talk about closing the show. I want to tell you about a few public service announcements that I liked to tell you about. Let's put up the first chart there. To get my show local broadcast schedule, go to www.donbaham.com and click on present day activities. That's the broadcast schedule for when you can watch my show here in this area. And to watch my shows on the web, go to www.donbaham.com and click on favorite links. There's probably a couple hundred shows there through the years that have all sorts of guests, even nearly as interesting as Doug here. And you can watch those shows. Now I've got to tell you about the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. Some folks are not happy with the ACLU because of some of their decisions in the past, and I've not been totally happy with them after all, but I've been with them for over 30 years. The American Civil Liberties Union, without the ACLU, our civil liberties would be in the tank. as far as I'm concerned. I can't say enough about the ACLU. Now, to get my TV shows broadcast by the stations, ask your local public access station in your city where you are to go to www.pegmedia.org and learn how they can get my shows and broadcast them from their local public access stations. We have another PSA coming up here, corporate personhood. That's so critically important. Our corporations have too much power in our democracy nowadays. We got to end corporate personhood now. Go to www.movetoamend.org to eliminate corporate personhood. Corporations are not persons. That's a mistake on the part of the Supreme Court. Now, do we have another PSA? Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to say thanks for watching, and I really mean it. Thank you so much for watching. And remember KFC, not Kentucky Fried Chicken, Dr. Don's KFC. Kind, friendly, and charitable. Be kind. Be friendly. And be charitable. To you, too. And you, too.
And you as well.
And you. And you. Thanks again for watching. Good night. The mic's still off, so we'll be on camera for the while.
Nicely done. Wow.